It's game day for the Utes and Wildcats. Coming up, we'll have highlights from the Utah-Weber State football game.
Plus, fans are back at Rice-Eccles Stadium in a record-breaking number.
We can't wait for football to start back up.
First game of the season.
Getting back to a sense of normal this season, even as COVID cases rise.
I'm tracking showers and thunderstorms here across Utah. The main threats for tonight, how long this pattern will last, and what you can expect for air quality heading into the holiday weekend.
This surge is a disaster. This is awful.
As COVID-19 cases spike and hospitals are overrun, a mask mandate for schools is decided in Tooele County.
If you don't take these measures, you're going to have the consequences, so you don't get to choose that.
But whether students wear them to class depends on the numbers.
Gender identity in Utah classrooms. Tonight, parents weigh in and why teachers say they need help navigating this complex issue.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
It has been a big day for college football. The University of Utah is ushering in a renovated Rice-Eccles Stadium tonight with a capacity crowd of more than 51,000 fans as they take on the Weber State Wildcats.
A thunderstorm and pouring rain delayed but did not stop the action tonight. Fox 13 Sports' Jeff Ranier joins us live in studio to get us up to speed on what is happening with tonight's big game. Hi, Jeff.
Yeah, hey guys, it's been a competitive game between the Utes and Wildcats. Utah ranked 24th in the preseason AP Top 25, but Weber State ranked 6th in the FCS poll, so they're a very good team. The Utes scored a field goal on their first drive of the game on the ensuing kickoff. Weber State, well, they have a good returner in Rashid Shaheed, one of the top returners in college football. Finds room to run. He has 5 career kickoff returns for a touchdown, make it 6. 100 yards for the touchdown. Weber State up 7-3. Jay Hill loving it on the sideline. New Utah starting quarterback Charlie Brewer led the Utes on a touchdown drive after that long delay. Finds Dalton Kincaid, 17-yard touchdown. Utes back on top 10-7. Second quarter, Utes give it off to Tavian Thomas. Powers his way in for the touchdown. 12 yards on the score, and the Utes were up 19-7. That was the score at the half. Then in the third quarter, more Utes. Brewer on the move, fires it to Solomon Enos, makes the catch in the end zone. That put the Utes up 26-10. Right now, they lead at 33-10 in the fourth quarter. Next Saturday, it's the big in-state rivalry game. Utah will travel south to take on BYU in Provo. Coming up, we'll have BYU news and possibly moving to the Big 12, plus final highlights from the Utes and Wildcats.
Jeff, thanks so much. Looking forward to it. More than 51,000 fans are watching the game in person tonight. That's the largest crowd ever at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Kelly and I were at the tailgate party before the game this afternoon, and Fox 13's Haley Higgins was there too.
Woo, woo! I'm in here.
Ooh.
The tailgate party's back on.
It feels good to be normal again.
Thousands of fans reconnecting.
I think everyone is way excited to be back this year. We can't wait for football to start back up.
Players' parents excited for the action.
I'm so excited. I am so excited for him. His opportunity for playing football and to be a starter, like, this is huge.
Hell yeah!
We're very excited. First game of the season.
You guys are looking good.
Last season, the university shut down tailgating to slow the spread of COVID-19. This year, the more than 51,000 fans are encouraged to wear masks inside the stadium.
We have our masks that we'll wear when we get in there, but yeah, we're super excited.
Ooh.
For you, baby. No, no, we're not worried.
Healthcare workers expressed concern at holding the stadium at full capacity during this point in the pandemic when hospitals are overwhelmed. Reporting in Salt Lake City, Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah. Oh, it's a blast out there at the tailgate lot. And then this, oh my goodness. It was just after a few plays. The Weber State University of Utah game tonight was forced into a weather delay because of lightning in the area. With heavy rain pouring down, fans were asked to leave the open air stadium seats to wait out the storm, but these few rowdier fans went the opposite direction. They ran onto the field. You see them here after a couple of stunts.
and shenanigans. They were escorted off the field by security. No word yet if these guys will be facing any trespassing.
Oh, my goodness. Both Kelly and I, as I mentioned, were there tonight when that downpour came down.
I could not believe it, Allison. It was like rain I've never seen. It was coming down hard and heavy, fast and furious.
Oh my goodness. Well, hopefully everyone packed those ponchos that I warned you about, because we still have a few showers in the region. So right now what I'm tracking for you is mostly through the Oakers over towards Tooele. Along I-80, still some lightning. So the game is still going on. If there is lightning within 8 miles, they have to go on a 30-minute delay. So it's not quite there yet, but certainly something that we'll keep watching for you. Satellite and radar across southern Utah mostly clear, so it's not as big of a problem. A few flash flooding concerns south of Lake Powell this evening, but in Salt Lake City currently 73 degrees. But when you wake up tomorrow morning here in Salt Lake City, temperatures in the mid to low 60s first thing in the morning. By 9 a.m. still mid 60s. Areas of smoke tomorrow, but coming up, what can you expect for the holiday weekend? Let's talk about air quality and still a chance for some thunderstorms. I'll let you know where.
All right, Allison, thank you. Now to COVID-19 in Utah. Nearly 1,700 new cases of the virus were reported today. That is the highest number since January 27th. There were 12 new deaths reported, including a girl between the ages of 15 and 17. Salt Lake County Health Department says she was unvaccinated and had no underlying medical conditions.
Bob, Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall did issue this statement today saying, quote, "Today's news that a teenager from our county died is tragic, and my heart is with her family, friends, and community. At her age, the horizon of life was wide open, offering endless possibilities. Please protect yourselves and your loved ones." Tonight, a new order from Tooele County is in place to mandate masks in schools if they meet certain requirements.
Fox 13's Spencer Joseph explains the order and how experts expect it to help as hospital beds are being overrun with COVID patients.
COVID is our job to address COVID, but it also is very personal. We've all had close friends and family members that have passed away from COVID.
For Tooele County, the pandemic is hitting harder than ever, which is why, starting today, the health department is ordering a mask mandate in schools if certain requirements are met.
We thought it was prudent to add an additional layer of protection.
How it works is if a school reaches 2% or 30 students positive for a school smaller than 1,500 kids, a mask mandate will go into effect for 30 days. This is to work together with the test-to-stay protocols on the state level that would trigger at the exact same time. But some have already expressed their displeasure.
Some people are very do not want to wear a mask. We understand that.
But for Jeff Combs, health officer in Tooele County, he sees it differently.
Once we've hit that test-to-stay threshold, we know we have an outbreak in our school and that we need to take steps to address that.
And this isn't just about kids getting sick.
Those children go home, they spread it to their parents, their grandparents. In our own local hospital, 100% of our ICU beds are occupied, and all of those are COVID patients.
The first COVID surge was scary. This surge is a disaster. This is awful.
Mountain West Hospital in Tooele is out of options.
Way more young people, they're a lot sicker.
As Dr. Grade Gardner explains, their hospital is now overrun.
The issue with the kids now is that they're the spreaders, and then they bring it home, and then dad's coming in to me looking for oxygen because he's suffocating to death.
So they wrote this letter to the community, pleading with everyone to do common sense things like mask up and vaccinations.
And it's nobody trying to mandate something, or it's nobody trying to be tyranny. If you don't take these measures, you're going to have the consequences, so you don't get to choose that.
Despite pushback for some in the community, the goal of this order is to help all of Tooele County stay safe during this pandemic.
We hope to see maybe a change in the curve by October, November. But as people continue to get vaccinated, we will get on top of this. That's our number one tool.
The Tooele County Board of Supervisors does have this health order on the docket for next week to take up. They could either leave it as is and accept it or overrule it. Of course, we'll keep you up to date on the latest. In Tooele County, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
As for vaccinations, 8,876 more people received shots since yesterday, and 4,292 became fully vaccinated.
While many universities in Utah will be mandating their students get vaccinated for COVID-19 in the near future, Dixie State University will not be one of them. The school in St. George did release a statement that said it's working with the local health and government officials to monitor and assess the COVID-19 situation in southern Utah on a daily basis. DSU says it strongly encourages vaccines and wearing a mask and is providing free vaccination clinics for all students, faculty, and staff.
Coming up on Fox 13 News at 9.
Using people's correct pronouns shows that you respect them for who they are.
How should a student's gender identity be addressed at school? Hear from both sides of this controversial debate ahead of a crucial decision tomorrow.
A small Utah town devastated by flash flooding in the blink of an eye just before the Labor Day weekend.
It's destroyed. There's no coming back from this one.
The cleanup work that's now underway as neighbors help each other rebuild the place they call home.
I didn't want to die. I have too much to live for.
And he spent 7 months in the hospital fighting for his life after contracting COVID-19. But he survived. The story of his remarkable recovery against all odds. Tomorrow, a State Board of Education committee will take up the topic of preferred names and pronouns used by students in the classroom.
Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher reports parents are already telling the Board of Ed what they think before discussions even started.
It wasn't on the agenda, but the topic of gender identity and preferred pronouns in school became a huge focus of public comment.
Using people's correct pronouns shows that you respect them for who they are. Affirmation through pronouns will put teachers and schools at risk of future lawsuits.
To have an institution affirm this puts parents at a great disadvantage.
Parents and others weighing in on this yet-to-be-discussed draft of a Utah State Board of Education guidance document called Understanding Gender Identity to Better Support Students. It talks about laws, policies, and best practices for educators when it comes to students' preferred names and pronouns in the classroom. The 8-page document came about, USBE staff says, because they're asked all the time by schools about the rights of transgender, non-binary, and gender-diverse students. The Utah Pride Center says they also get emails and phone calls daily from teachers.
We are asked often, what do I do if my transgendered, non-binary or gender expansive youth want to go by a different name? What do I do if they want to use a pronoun?
Youth, Family, and Education Director Amanda Darrow says this is what students tell her they sometimes experience.
A youth said, for me, when I get misgendered in class, I get an empty feeling and remember that I'm not perfect and I'm not good enough. It does really hurt to know that so many of us are dead named, misgendered, discriminated against, and bullied for being ourselves.
While there are pieces of the document she finds problematic, Darrow says it's important to put guidance like this out there.
To ensure that they're being included in the classroom, that they're feeling safe, again, they're feeling loved and accepted.
Parents giving public comment Thursday expressed varying thoughts and opinions.
Our children should get to decide who they are.
It's about building a blockade against parental oversight.
I would like to encourage the USBE to write a policy that is clear.
And they'll be paying attention to what happens from here. In Salt Lake City, Lauren Steinbrecher, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Utah State Board of Education Standards and Assessment Committee will meet tomorrow morning to listen to comments, discuss, and vote on whether to approve the draft. From there, it would go before the full Board of Education at their meeting next month.
Well, we are still hearing some rumbles of thunder out here near the airport. So we've got a little bit of lightning, some thunder in the area, some brief heavy rainfall, and some small hail with these cells as they're moving through. So we have some lightning right now near Salt Lake City. It looks like within 8 miles of Rice Eccles. So I'm sure they're monitoring that for the game. Into Utah County, Provo down to Santa Quin, some light rain along I-15. And then across southern Utah, we do have a flash flood warning near Page and south into northern Arizona. But besides that, we have no warnings within our state lines currently. Bigger picture, we're fairly dry, at least off to our west. We still have a little bit of smoke that's been making its way into northern Utah, but your road trip weather starting the holiday weekend, a chance for some strong storms here across northern Utah for tonight mostly. Strong winds possible, more than 50 miles per hour, some brief heavy rainfall, but then we're going to have some drier roads for the holiday weekend. So if you're not getting on the road till tomorrow, you should be good, but we do have the chance for some thunderstorms across eastern Utah tomorrow. But tomorrow morning here in Salt Lake, if you have one more work day or school day before you head out and have some fun plans, it'll be about 60 degrees first thing tomorrow morning, and that storm threat for tomorrow is east of I-15. So we are still going to have the chance for some thunderstorms to develop. The rest of the night, we're going to see those showers and thunderstorms for northern Utah through about midnight, 1 a.m. Then we're going to see that drying out. And then tomorrow morning, mostly clear sky for Salt Lake, Provo, Ogden. And then by tomorrow afternoon, the chance for a few thunderstorms to develop across central and eastern Utah. So first thing tomorrow morning, about 60 to 65 degrees for Ogden, Salt Lake, and Provo. St. George around 70 degrees. And then by tomorrow afternoon, those temperatures will be about 80 degrees for Ogden, Salt Lake, Provo. Park City low 70s, same thing for Evanston. Moab in the 80s tomorrow. And for St. George, 93. Now your surface smoke forecast for tomorrow afternoon. When you first wake up, you'll pretty much just see a little bit of haze here in the valley, but that smoke will be a little bit thicker heading into tomorrow afternoon and then into Friday night, early Saturday morning. But looks like we'll see some improvements from Ogden and north by about midnight heading into Saturday morning. So overnight temperatures in St. George around 70 for the next few days. Hot on Labor Day, close to 105 early next week. So make sure you're drinking plenty of water if you are planning on having outdoor activities across southern Utah. Certainly something that'll be top of mind. All the sunscreen as we're wrapping up our last hurrah of summer. And then our temperatures for Salt Lake City, 80s through Sunday, and then low 90s Labor Day into early next week.
Allison, thank you. Up next on Fox 13 News, a state of emergency for one small Utah town after it's hit by catastrophic flooding. The cleanup as people living there wonder if they'll ever recover.
At least God's keeping his eyes on us, you know. You can't do everything to save this nightmare, but I just hope the town can recover from it.
Cleanup is underway tonight from catastrophic flash flooding in south central Utah.
Man, much of the town of Hanksville was devastated, and Wayne County is now under a state of emergency. As Fox 13's Ben Winslow reports, it may take years for some people to get back on their feet.
We had some rain.
It just hit out of the blue.
Here in Hanksville, they're digging out from catastrophic flooding.
Come off the Henry Mountains and kind of hit this part of town hard.
Water overflowed Bull Creek and the Dirty Devil River. The Oyo Hotel was hit from both sides.
Screaming, hey man, we got a river taking out our propane tank. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That ain't possible. And I went around the corner and here's this wall of water.
Guests and workers ran to higher ground. The good news?
No deaths, no injuries. Everybody is accounted for and safe. And we were grateful to hear that.
The Dirty Devil River, normally a trickle this time of year, is at its banks.
It's looking like it's going to let up and give us a little reprieve. Yeah. Hopefully that's the case.
Wayne County has declared a state of emergency. It'll free up some resources as people dig out. But some who live here in Hanksville say they don't think they'll ever recover.
It's hard to watch 16 years go down the tubes like this. Just no words.
Across Hanksville, people have turned out to help clean up, some from neighboring counties.
I am just at a loss for words at the generosity. People are so kind. All these volunteers showed up from all over.
This tiny town is dependent on tourism. Labor Day is the start of the busy time. They say to help them recover, still come to town.
Come down and buy some gift shop stuff and eat a hamburger. That would help.
In Hanksville, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Today, the man accused of setting multiple buildings owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was officially charged with arson. According to court documents, 36-year-old Benjamin James Johnson admitted to detectives that 3 churches he set on fire. He described his behavior as righteous anger. No court date has yet been set. A second donor has come forward with an additional $10,000 now in reward money for anyone who can help solve the murder of 2 Grand County women.
The reward now totals $20,000. The bodies of 38-year-old Crystal Turner and 24-year-old Kylan Schulte were found in the LaSalle Mountains, where they had been shot to death 2 weeks ago. Grand County is working with the FBI and Utah Bureau of Investigations on the case. If you have any information that could help them, call the Grand County Sheriff's Office. A 15-year-old male has been arrested in a June 6th shooting that killed 20-year-old Sean Amoni. 4 others were wounded in the shooting at 1354 North General Drive. The 15-year-old was booked into a metro area jail detention center. Salt Lake City police investigators believe he is the shooter responsible for Amoni's death. Because the suspect is a minor, no additional information will be released.
Up next, something you can't miss. He fought for his life for nearly a year while battling COVID-19. Tonight, he is finally back home and sharing his story of survival with Fox 13 News.
A Utah man is back home tonight with his family after he was hospitalized with COVID-19 for 223 days.
Wow, what a battle. Fox 13's Sydney Glenn shows us his remarkable recovery and tonight his message for others.
More than 7 months later,
I kept fighting.
This is an incredibly hard thing to survive.
Thomas Curl is home.
I didn't want to die. I have too much to live for.
This journey began in January when Curl ended up in Intermountain Healthcare's emergency room with COVID-19.
One of the doctors came in and says, Tom, we have to put you on a ventilator or you won't make it through the night.
Months of sickness, fighting, and almost dying.
It was a horrible battle. I felt more pain than I've ever experienced.
Curl never gave up.
I thought about, I have to survive. I thought about, oh my gosh, this is awful. What's going on? How did I get to this point?
223 days later.
It's probably the longest I've had a patient in the ICU that I can recall.
Curl beat the odds.
I had help from the other side on more than one occasion. I had answers to prayer, sometimes almost instantly.
A celebration, bringing in a second chance at life.
I'm home. I'm not perfect. I've got progress to make.
A survivor.
That's my story.
Curl says he has now gotten his first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine and hopes by sharing his story, others will do the same. In Murray, Sydney Glenn, Fox 13 News, Utah.
If you don't like the way Utah's political boundaries are drawn, now is your chance to help draw the new maps. New software is now available, so you can go online and draw suggestions for Utah's congressional, legislative, and school board districts. A meeting was held today to go over the software, and the public was invited.
The public can also have a better visual on what proposals are and what they could add to the process for redistricting. So I think that's very, very positive.
Your input will be considered by 2 different committees drawing redistricting maps. All of it will go to the legislature's redistricting committee, whose members will have the final say. If you'd like to get involved, we have a link on our webpage, fox13now.com.
It is almost here, and if you're hitting the road for the long holiday weekend, UDOT wants to remind you there will be a lot of traffic, especially in construction zones. On I-15 in Clearfield, crews are working on the median, so the speed is reduced to 60 miles an hour within that work zone. State Road 39 in Ogden is reduced to just 1 lane as crews rebuild the Mid-Canyon Bridge, and that could see delays of up to 15 minutes. And then in southern Utah, State Road 95, right at the Cottonwood Wash Bridge, has restrictions along with delays.
It has been almost 20 years to the day since the September 11th attacks. But for some people, the pain and suffering continues. Still ahead, the calls for action the relatives of those killed are demanding.
Today, relatives of the victims of the September 11th attacks called on the Justice Department's Inspector General to investigate why the FBI has not released certain pieces of evidence related to the origin of that attack.
One of those victims says he does not want politicians commemorating the 20th anniversary next week unless top secret files related to that day finally get released.
Joe St. George goes in depth tonight on why, after all these years, there's still secrecy.
Here's a beam from the South Tower, and it's a memorial garden with my dad's name on it.
For Brett Eagleson, this place in Middletown, Connecticut has always been a bit more than just a memorial.
Unfortunately, since we never recovered my dad, this is what we have to honor him.
His father, Bruce, was killed during the September 11th attacks 20 years ago when Brett was just a teenager.
These memorials all over America signify 9/11 affected all of us.
But as the country prepares to commemorate 20 years since that fateful day, Brett doesn't want the date to be exclusively about the past.
This is a story about how angry we are. Okay, we've done this 19 times and the families have had it. We're done with the emotional side. We want our government to finally help us.
Brett is demanding President Biden release secret files associated with that day. Operation Encore was an investigation by the FBI following the 9/11 Commission. It looked into the possibility of unproven allegations of Saudi Arabia's role in the attacks. Most of the files are currently sealed. Brett says he just wants to know more about that day and the event that killed his dad.
If my dad was gunned down in the streets of New York City, I would be able to walk into the local police precinct, sit down with a detective, and work with him and see all the files that existed.
As September 11th approaches, Brett says he and others know this is their moment. When then candidate Joe Biden was running for office, he wrote this letter to attorneys representing 9/11 families in an ongoing lawsuit saying the 9/11 families are right to seek full truth and accountability. But so far as president, he's only released a statement that Brett says guarantees nothing.
It's because all the statement ended up saying is that we will consider reconsidering what we can and can't give to you.
But releasing classified government documents isn't easy, and it doesn't happen just like that.
I was a diplomat.
Brett Bruin is with Global Situation Room and has worked on national security issues. He says when the government declassifies something, it usually involves every top government official having the opportunity to say no.
A whole host of acronyms across Washington get to decide whether or not releasing that information will somehow negatively affect their work.
Bruin speculates that whatever is in this file, it has the potential to impact U.S.-Saudi relations, and that's why it's been secret for so long.
We have a relationship with Saudi Arabia that's very complex. We depend on them for a lot of our energy resources. We depend on them for support on terrorism.
Saudi Arabia's leaders have consistently denied any connection to 9/11. But Brett says the fact 15 of the 19 terrorists from that day were from that country has piqued his curiosity for years. Knowing more would help with the grief.
Bring us the closure that we deserve.
I'm Joe St. George reporting.
Utah's First Lady Abby Cox hopes the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks is spent in service.
She joined Fox 13's Dan Evans and April Baker on Good Day Utah this morning to talk about the National Day of Service and Remembrance taking place on September 11th. It's been a yearly tradition to honor those who died and the first responders who gave so much, but also to transform it into a worldwide day of doing good.
We also want to reclaim it as a day of service. We want this to be a time where we can come together and remember that time when we all came together as a country, and let's do that again.
The theme is Honor, Serve, Unite. And the First Lady and Governor Cox will provide service at locations in the greater Salt Lake and Utah County areas. She invites all Utahns to do some act of kindness on that day, which will be a week from Saturday, no matter how small that act is.
Could BYU be headed to the Big 12 Conference? I'll tell you about the possibility coming up in sports. And the Utes and Wildcats open up the season against each other tonight at Rice Eccles Stadium. The highlights are on the way. It was a great night at Rice Eccles Stadium. Fans back in the stands, 51,000 plus to watch the Utes take on the Weber State Wildcats. The Utes scored a field goal on their first drive of the game, but then it was Weber State after that. On the ensuing kickoff, The Wildcats were ready to go. They have a good returner, Rashid Shaheed, one of the top returners in all of college football. Finds room to run. He has 5 career touchdowns for a return, make it 6. 100 yards for the score. Weber State up 7-0. New Utah quarterback Charlie Brewer led the Utes on a touchdown drive after a long lightning today. He finds Dalton Kincaid, 17-yard touchdown, 10-7 Utes. Second quarter, Utes give it off to Tavion Thomas, powers in for the touchdown. 12-yard score, Utes up 19-7. That was the score at the half. Then in the third quarter, Brewer on the move, fires it to Solomon Enos, makes the catch for the touchdown, and the Utes are up 33-10. Both teams found the end zone in the fourth quarter. Tavion Thomas once again, second touchdown run for the Utes, 14 yards on this one. 33-10 Utes. Cam Rising came in at quarterback late in the fourth quarter and threw a touchdown pass to Dalton Kincaid, his second TD reception of the game. 40-10 Utes. Weber State did score late. Bronson Barron to Hayden Meacham closed the game out. The Utes won it 40-17 to start the season. BYU will play their first game on Saturday against Arizona in Las Vegas, but today, BYU fans thinking about the Big 12 Conference after it was been reported that BYU is one of 4 leading candidates to get an invitation to join the Big 12. This will be the Cougars' 11th season as an independent football team after leaving the Mountain West Conference in 2011, but athletic director Tom Homo has expressed BYU has a big desire to join a Power 5 conference for several years. BYU is listed along with Central Florida, Cincinnati, and Houston as the leading candidates to join the Big 12, replacing Texas and Oklahoma, who are leaving the conference to join the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, the Cougars are hungry. They are hungry after all these years to get back into
They sure
big
are.
action.
Independent's been great for them, but having a conference affiliation could be a lot more money.
There's no substitute
more
for that.
prestige.
Yeah.
They'll jump at the opportunity. They almost got invited a few years ago, if you remember.
Yeah, that's right.
And the Big 12 decided not to expand, but they're in the running now. Serious
It could happen. They could be on the move.
We could find out, they said, sometime this season. So,
is it a sellout crowd in Las Vegas for them?
It's close. 65,000 last I checked. It's close.
Wow.
A lot of Cougars.
It's going to be loud on Saturday. And such a
Loud.
great home opener for Utah and Weber State. They put up a fight.
What an incredible
nice game. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
We'll be right back.
We'll get ready for a hot Labor Day in St. George, close to 105 by next Monday here in Salt Lake City. Our temperatures in the 80s through the weekend. We'll close to 90 by Sunday and into Labor Day. We do have the chance for some isolated thunderstorms, mostly for eastern Utah tomorrow. So still be cognizant of the weather, but mostly better conditions heading into the weekend.
That is a hot week.
Yeah, it is. A big thank you to all our friends at the tailgate parties tonight.
Oh, we had a great time. And thank you for staying up late with us.